All right, everybody, it's good to be back. Welcome into another episode of Wrestling with the Paranormal. I am Austin Lee, and we have a very special guest in the studio with us today, all the way from away. We have the Enlightened One joining us today.
Oh, it's so great to be here with you on Wrestling with the Paranormal. All right. It's great to be back with Wrestling with the Paranormal. Um, we have we're going to be talking all things about the Cecil today, but let's plug a little bit of stuff here. You want to go ahead with what you want to plug?
Sure. So, of course, you guys can check out the Just Another Effing Podcast, right? With you and
Yeah, we got it tomorrow. We're going to be talking about WrestleMania and the releases.
Sure, of course. Lots
with,
of
with
releases to
JFB,
talk
James from
about there.
Boston.
Of course.
We got to get you on that show as well.
Oh, I would love to be on there. That would be a fantastic one. And then, of course, you can check out my other podcast, 365 Fantasy Football. If you are into all things football, check that out as well. That has taken off quite nicely. We are now in 41 states and 19 countries around the world. Wow. So awesome start for that podcast. Check us out. That is available on all platforms. Outside of that, man, anything else we want to plug?
No, I just wanted to. New thing that we're going to start here is we're going to talk wrestling ghost stories, since this is Wrestling with the Paranormal. And today we're going to talk about Xavier Woods' ghost story.
I'm really interested in hearing this because I have not heard his story. So take it away.
Yeah, I just thought it would be neat if we did one of these every week, if we could find as many as not necessarily ghost stories, but paranormal stories.
Sure.
Okay, so when Xavier Woods was a kid, he had this panda bear. I don't know where he got it from, but he had this panda bear in his room. And in the middle of the night, he woke up to this panda bear speaking out loud, saying, "I'm going to kill you and I'm going to eat you."
What?
And I guess he freaked out and he woke up his parents, and they're like, no, son, this is
sure.
You're not going to believe some kid. And so they eventually took the panda bear away out of the room. And I guess a couple months later, I guess he was in his parents' room looking around, and he found the panda bear, and he freaked out because he told his parents to destroy it, and they didn't. And
oh wow!
So he had them burn it in front of him to make sure that.
So that's actually really interesting, and I don't want to get too far off topic here, but I'm sure you've heard lots of stories about like Ouija boards and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard? I've seen shows and documentaries where people have tried to destroy a Ouija board only to find it back, in their garage or something days or weeks later.
Yeah, there's some crazy energy around a Ouija board. A girl that I knew, she was trying to kind of separate herself from a past life with that, and she was clearing out all her stuff in the garage, and she noticed the TV was on, and she's like, "This TV shouldn't be on," and she found that it wasn't plugged in, and she found the Ouija board was sitting on top of the TV, giving it its power.
It was on and it wasn't plugged in?
Yeah, and the Ouija board was on top of it, giving it its power. So that was...
So, like we talked about, I believe on episode 1, or maybe it was just off air or something, but I fully believe that. And that sounds crazy to people that haven't had any experiences, and I completely respect that and understand it. But I don't remember if I told you, about the house that I grew up in, but we had radios and things that would be playing static with the needle coursing back and forth, and they wouldn't be plugged in. So I could fully believe, things like that. But the Ouija board, you say, was on top of the television.
Yeah.
And had she tried to get rid of that before, or thought she did?
Yeah, she was starting a new life as a believer. I didn't want anything to do with that sort of stuff, and That was their last sort of battle, was to have that TV come on.
Wow. That's really interesting, man. That's a really interesting story about Xavier Woods. I have not heard that, but how creepy would that be to wake up to you said it was a panda bear. It wasn't like one of the old like Teddy Ruxpin things.
No, it was just a stuffed panda.
That is crazy. Okay. Um I guess we can jump right into today's topic, man. We're going to be talking about the Cecil Hotel. Tim, our buddy Tim, is with us in the chat. What's up, Tim? Hope you're doing okay, having a
Hey,
good
Tab.
weekend. Um, but this is a such a history with this place, dating back from the very beginning. It seems as if it was almost cursed from the time that it was erected. You
And
know,
it's like around
so
the 20s when it was started as
right.
a luxurious hotel.
Right. Yeah. So, um, obviously, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the Netflix documentary about it, haunting at the Cecil, the Elisa Lamb story. Obviously, that is fairly new, still a hot topic of discussion,
And she's
especially
from
on
my
social.
my city here, Vancouver.
Right. So, do we want to kind of cover some of the history of the hotel first here, or do we want to go
Yeah,
right
let's talk
into
about the
Elisa's?
history of the
Sure,
place, and then we'll get into Lisa Lamb a little bit later.
sure. So, obviously, as we just kind of mentioned here, the Cecil opened up as kind of state of the art, very classy hotel in the 1920s in downtown LA, just before the Great Depression. So, it cost at the time $1.5 million to build
In the 20s,
in the
that's a lot of money.
1920s. That is a lot of money. So over 700 rooms. A lot of it was kind of geared towards tourists and business people to attract them to come in there. So um, LA kind of took off and went on its boom, and things took a turn for the worse from there. So,
It came into disrepair, and
yeah, so it kind of went to shambles, and the kind of the haunting and the history of this place dates back to that very first year in 1927, where a man named Percy Cook shot himself in the hotel there. Just a
is that
few
the
years,
first death?
I think that is the first death. So it says almost from its opening day. So it had to have been
Wow.
right then is when he did that. So, and then three more people died just a few years later. That was kind of a lot of suicides. Three of them, one overdosed on pills, one took his life with a gun, and another with a razor. So there's been people uh, jump out of the windows. There's one story. Sarah's with us. What's up, Sarah?
Hey, Sarah.
Um, I saw one. I know one story. A lady had a baby
Yes,
in
she
the
threw the.
bathroom.
She didn't
Yeah,
know. A little bit of
yeah,
backstory on this. She didn't know she was pregnant,
right.
and
It-
I guess she was feeling really weird, and she got up and she had a baby in the bathroom, and she didn't know. She just came out and she just threw it out the window, and
right.
then people swear that they saw ghosts of babies outside their windows after that.
Right. Yeah. So she thought that it was stillborn. She kind of panicked. Did not tell the man that she was staying with,
Well, he
and
was.
like you
That
said,
wasn't his wife. That was an affair.
right, right, mistress type of thing.
Yeah.
So instead of telling him, she just tossed this newborn baby out the window, and it was later discovered in the coroner's report that the baby was actually alive. So very tragic past with some of these stories. One of them, I believe, was discussed in the documentary on Netflix. Correct me if I'm wrong there. enlightened one. But the Goldie Osgood, the one that had been raped, beaten, and stabbed, did they not discuss that on the documentary?
There's
I
so
think they
many.
briefly touched on it. Yeah,
Yeah, but they glossed over a lot.
yeah. The killer of Goldie was never found, as were some of these people who have been killed, shot, or stabbed in this hotel. A lot of the people that did it were never found or brought to justice.
And the Black Dahlia, this was the last place that she was seen alive.
Right. Which is another incredible story all in its own, really. And then, of course, you had multiple serial killers, highlighted by the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez.
And I felt like I was really disappointed in the Netflix documentary that they just kind of glossed over this.
Right. How could you not spend
I
more
know, I was
time
looking
talking
so
about
much
the
more
Night Stalker staying at this
the Night
hotel?
Stalker here, then they move on.
Yeah. Even Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, was here. Next topic, please. Like, wait a
Yes.
minute. Yeah, I mean,
They
this
didn't mention the
guy,
other serial killer either.
yeah, the Jack Unterweger or whatever from
Yes.
Australia. Yeah.
So
So
he apparently was had killed somebody before,
mhm,
and then they believe he had been rehabilitated. And
right.
they trusted him, and then he went and killed people in
Yeah.
LA.
So from my understanding, he really did like next to no time for the first murder or murders that he got arrested for, and then he relocated, came over there, and was continuing the
And he
same thing.
strangled people with his bra.
Right.
And people who stayed in his room felt a choking feel around their neck.
Yeah. So very interesting, and that really kind of I don't want to say set the tone, but I mean that's kind of what this place is. Really, it's in the middle of Skid Row in Los Angeles. This is a very decrepit part of LA. Homeless people all throughout the stretch of area that the Cecil rests on now, and that's the type of people that go there.
What I find
That.
interesting.
Go ahead.
What I find interesting is that all this bad stuff is happening,
Right.
yet this place remains open. I don't know.
Right. Which is funny that you say that, because when my wife and I were watching this documentary, we were like, how has nobody just shut the place down with this much bad juju? I guess.
Well, the land's got to be worth something, right?
Yeah, it has to be. It's LA. They're not
So
making
you
any more land.
make a lot of more money.
Right. Yeah, right. Sarah asked, what is this documentary called? It is called A Haunting at the Cecil, the Elisa Lamb story. If I'm not mistaken. I know it's called Haunting at the Cecil, but
yeah, I don't think Elisa Lamb is in it, but she's the star pretty much.
right. So yeah, Sarah, if you have not seen that yet, obviously you haven't. Go check that out. That is a very fascinating story,
Yeah.
that really kind of leaves it up in the air, because it's not to give away any spoilers here. There's a lot of holes in every narrative of this story of how this young lady died. And could she have gotten there on her own? Did somebody take her there? It's just such a strange story. So, but this is just back to the serial killer thing. I mean, especially Richard Ramirez. This guy was. If you haven't seen that documentary, by the way,
So
check that out.
Yes.
But that was amazing. So this guy is going out doing all this heinous stuff to these people, and then just rolling back to this hotel, and would have gotten away with it had he not worn really that particular kind of rare shoe that had just started been making.
Okay, so he was doing satanic rituals
right
in his room.
Right.
And
a
lot of
it gives me the creeps.
A lot of his kills, he'd do little satanic things in the houses and on the walls and stuff.
Yeah, paint the pentagrams in blood on the walls.
The question is, does the Cecil attract these people?
Really fascinating question, because I could see that if it would somehow be discovered that through one, some form or another, that the Cecil is attracting them, or just that area in general kind of creates that energy. It's
I
I
wonder
could
if
see it
it's a
either way.
romance thing.
A romance thing. Go
Yeah,
into
because
that.
because I was really fascinated with the Golden Gate Bridge because of all the people that were jumping off.
Right.
And for the longest time, I wanted to go there and just save one person from jumping off. I was like, that was my mission, to go to the Golden Gate Bridge and
Hmm.
try to save one person. And just I wanted to patrol the bridge, and so I was just fascinated with the Golden Gate Bridge. So I wonder if, because of like even the what's that show, American Horror Story, they even kind of have one season that they're
The
using.
hotel season, yeah.
And is the song about that too?
Yes.
Hotel California, is that about the Cecil as well?
Yeah. So, on top of the Golden Gate Bridge, too, you kind of touched on all the suicides that happened there. Have you heard of that forest in Japan where people go to commit suicide all the time?
Yeah, that's got to be some crazy energy going on at that place.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that place, but there obviously are certain places in the world that people are drawn to
So
either commit acts
what was the
or
YouTuber that went to was at WrestleMania?
I'm not sure. I mean, I really haven't been on the internet much for
Oh
the
yeah,
past couple of weeks, so
okay, yeah,
this
you
is
missed
new. Go ahead.
WrestleMania then.
Yeah. So what happened? Fill me in.
Okay, so the YouTuber was part of Sami Zayn's gimmick, and he was the guy who caused shit at that forest and was like videotaping all the dead bodies and was making jokes about it.
Really? Wow.
I forget what his name is. It's just escaping me right now.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, obviously, man, there are places around the world that have that kind of energy that either draws people in to commit these acts or to take their life.
Yeah, so there have been numerous ghost stories at the place as well.
Oh yeah.
Zach Baggins had the water turn on by itself, and
Hmm. What are your thoughts on Zach Bagans while we're on this topic?
I find him interesting. I I wonder if he has the spiritual fortitude to be doing this, because he said he's been possessed a couple of times.
Yeah, especially like the earlier seasons of Ghost Adventures, like really kind of felt like there wasn't a whole lot of embellishment maybe happening. But as the later seasons progressed, like I kind of felt as if some things were a little bit staged. I know he had been down to that Waverly Hills that we had talked about on a previous episode, and the
Yeah, I
people that
did
were,
watch that episode. Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, another topic for another day, I guess. But, um, yeah, man. I mean, you're talking Richard Ramirez in the this. He was there in the middle of his murdering spree.
Yeah, he would come up with
Yeah. I mean,
covered in
that
blood,
was
just wearing his underwear, and no one bats an eyelash.
yeah. Nobody thinks anything of it.
Oh
Like,
yeah, it's
it's
normal. It's
just
normal.
another guy, and that's kind of leading into Ms. Lamb's story. Is even the hotel manager was on that documentary saying, yeah, she came down in the lobby and was acting very strange, but it's the Cecil. Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah,
essentially, like everybody, like it wasn't anything strange that we don't see every other day. But
yeah.
looking back on it now, yeah, maybe there were
I think
some
had it
red
been any other
flags.
hotel, maybe they would have got her some help.
Absolutely. So, I guess we could just go right into her story here.
Yeah.
Uh, what did you feel about the documentary?
I felt they were directing us in a certain direction. They wanted to kind of eliminate all the hokey sort of like all the they wanted to lead us on a way to think of it, and they just wanted to give us an answer instead of like leaving it for us to decide.
Right.
They kind of explored it, but they kind of glossed over a lot. Like there was a missing minute of that video that was later released.
In the elevator.
Yeah, she had her
Yeah.
like with her mouth open and it's kind of hunching over and it's kind of freaking out.
Right.
It made it way more like something's going on here. So I don't know why they eliminated that minute. Maybe it was to give her more dignity. I don't know.
I don't know. It was. I thought the documentary was very well done. They did kind of gloss over a lot. I would love to see some uncensored or unedited version because there had to have been more. You know what I mean? Through the original take.
Well, they
Maybe
also
we
promised the manager that they wouldn't just be a smear campaign.
right.
They had to watch what they said as well.
Right. So what was it that the manager said, if you remember, where she was mentioning all the deaths that had taken place in her 10 years there? I feel like it was, if I remember correctly, I feel like it really kind of broke down to one death a month over the course of 10 years. I feel like it was 80 or 90 some deaths in maybe one every 2 months or something like that. 6 weeks,
And how
maybe.
do you? I guess you just build up a tolerance for that. I don't know. I could never work there. What the first death is
Right.
gone.
And
I'm
she
gone.
had no background in hotel management.
So
That
maybe
was
they're
all
just good,
brand
happy to
new.
have this job. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. They were just happy somebody would take it. Um, so throughout her stay there, her 10 years in the Cecil, speaking about the manager, she was the one that tried to kind of rebrand the Cecil and try to get away from that dark past. So she split it up.
And I think that was a really bad idea.
Very, like, I get where she's thinking, but
Yeah,
at the end of the day, you're putting lipstick on a pig. You know what I mean?
but it was also like almost like a Venus flytrap. It's like
Right.
pull people in and like I guess.
Right. So and if I'm not mistaken, that is how Elisa Lamb ended up there. She was
Yeah,
actually going to be on the stay on Main side of it, not the Cecil part. But as the documentary says, the only hiccup there is they share an elevator.
yeah.
So it is still in this building. They
And you're
just
gonna get in with a bunch of weirdos, get in the elevator with.
right. So I guess in this documentary, the elevator footage.
So we
Uh,
didn't tell everyone what happened to her, in case they didn't watch.
yeah, so I guess spoiler alerts
Yeah.
coming here. If you don't want to don't want to know how this ends or what
Oh dear.
happens to her, yeah, just go ahead and turn it off and come back and watch for the discussion after you see it. Fair warning there. So
I think that's where she died. Though.
right, yeah, she's dead. Spoiler. Uh, so she comes. This young lady from Canada comes down on this vacation by herself. She ends up originally kind of rooming with a couple other girls in this hotel, but they are saying that she was acting very strange and they didn't kind of get along and she was really weird. So they requested that she be moved. So the hotel manager accommodates these two young ladies. She moves Elisa Lamb to another room, and then the rest is history. She ends up dead,
In the
and
water tower.
in the water tower on top of the roof. So
So how they find her is this is a Czechoslovakian couple or Czech couple.
yes.
They're
Oh
drinking,
God, that's so gross. I
they're
forgot
drinking
about that.
the black water.
Oh,
And they're showering in it, and they're just like, "This is disgusting." And it's not until someone reports that the water pressure.
right. The water pressure is bad. Um, so yeah, in this documentary, this um, young couple from across the pond is staying at this hotel at this time, and they're talking about how nasty the water is, in their sink and in the shower. That's brown, black, and they're brushing their teeth in it. They're showering in
Blech.
it. Uh, so they don't think much of it somehow. They don't really say anything, but another couple, as you said, goes to take a shower one morning or one afternoon, and there's no water pressure. So he reports that. They send the manager or the maintenance guy up to check the water towers, and he climbs up and kind of looks in the little hole opening for the water tower, and he finds a dead body in there. So,
Okay, so at this point,
oh,
back up a bit. So she was missing for 2 days. When
right,
the police were searching. They had
right,
the helicopters on the roof.
yes. The entire squad that was there at the hotel checked everywhere, every nook and
Okay,
cranny of
so they
this
had
hotel.
helicopters,
Right,
and so um, they should have been able to see that
right.
something was up with that water tower.
Yes, very true. So inside the hotel, the police force is searching every single room, every nook and cranny inside this hotel. They all end up on top of the roof with helicopters flying over, and somehow the entire police force, not a single one of them said, "Hey, we should check up here in the water towers."
Okay, so the
Uh,
maintenance guy, this is where it's kind of screwy for me.
right,
The maintenance guy says he lifted up and opened up the
the lid.
the lid.
Right,
And then later on, it said the lid was always open.
right.
So which
So,
was it? Because if
right,
it was open, they would
exactly.
have saw it with the helicopters.
Exactly. And that's why I say there are so many holes in this story, because
Yeah.
there are, even
And
throughout
why
this
is she naked?
documentary. Yes. Why is she naked? So I I understand. At least my wife had said, when she was going through high school in PE, and they were going through their swim class, they would tell them, if you're ever drowning, to take off your clothes because they weigh you down. So there is that narrative there, but none of this story.
Yeah, so how could she close her own lid? She
Right,
can't.
from inside the tank in water, and it's like a 20. They said
So
it's like
if
a
it's open,
25
she's not
pound
going to need to
lid.
take her clothes off because unless the
Right,
water's draining a bit, right?
exactly. She should just be able to kind of climb her way out, reach up there and pull herself out. But um, yeah, so they find her naked in this water tank. The police force was right there, did not mention anything, did not even think to look in the water tanks. The helicopters are flying overhead. They don't mention anything. You have the contradicting stories of the lid was open, the lid was closed. If
Yeah,
the
and they
lid
really
was
glossed over
open,
that part.
right, how do you not spend more time talking about this? And if the lid was open, the helicopters should have seen that and said, "Hey, lid's open, something, red flag." But yeah, there's just so many different things, and then you look at the security footage from the night that she goes missing, and she is in the hotel or the elevator, and she's acting very strange, kind of almost hiding in the corner, but the elevator
And their
is
movements are really strange with their arms and stuff.
right. The elevator is almost malfunctioning. The door is not closing. So she is kind of tucked away in the corner of the elevator. She's making very weird movements.
And it seems like she's talking to somebody out there.
Yes, especially when she like pokes her head out the elevator and she steps out.
Okay,
It
so
looks as if she's talking to
okay,
somebody.
so a theory here is that if you're an employee that she's talking to, you're not going to want to go on the camera because you know where all the cameras are.
Right.
So if you're going to stay right out of camera and just be talking to her from outside the camera.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, when she steps out the elevator, it looks very clearly like she is speaking with somebody or interacting with somebody some way. And then
And
she
on
kind
her
of
Reddit page, she speaks about someone,
following her.
a creeper. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like she says something like hope I don't get any creepers following me or something
No,
like
no.
that.
She said that there was someone following her.
There was someone following, right?
Yeah, and
So
they didn't really talk about that on the documentary.
yeah, another thing that they just kind of glossed over. So the whole thing just kind of stinks. And then you see it later in the documentary. It talks about they end up finding out which floor she was on at that point in the elevator. I believe she was just like 3 floors down from the ceiling. So she ends up leaving the elevator, turns left, and that is the last that we ever see of Elisa Lamb.
So with the dogs, they figure that she either was brought up through her window,
right,
and then climbed up to the ladders to the roof, or someone brought her there.
So if I'd have to go back and watch, but I feel like another talking point on the documentary was that at that moment where she was the last bit of footage that we have of her, she was not on the floor that she was staying,
No, she wasn't.
like where her room was. So why is she on a different floor if she's not staying there? And then two,
And they don't tell us what floor it is. I
right,
assumed it was ground level.
right. Um, I can't remember. I feel like they did mention something briefly, like, but I feel like she was way down, like maybe floor 3 or something like that. If I don't remember, but I know the stay on Main where she was at, they did say was like floors 3 through 9 or 3 through 7, something like that. It's one of the lower portions of the floor where the people that are there like long term, almost that live there, have the upper floors. So she's on a floor that she doesn't belong on, and then she emerged all the weird footage of the elevator, the missing minute or 2 minutes of time that nobody seems to know or can speak on. She leaves the elevator, she turns left, and they have no idea whether she went up the maintenance thing to the door up the stairs or if she took the fire escape out. But the dogs did hit on the window, which would suggest anyway
We're failing
that
to
she
mention
went out.
that she is diagnosed as
Right.
bipolar.
Right. And she was not taking her medicine.
Actually, they said, I think a podcast I listened to last night, that they found the meds in her system.
They did. Okay. I
Yeah.
feel like the documentary had made it sound like she wasn't taking them, or maybe they were
Yeah,
just
they wanted.
maybe
That's
it
what I
was
was
a
talking about. They were trying to
okay.
make you believe a certain thing instead
Okay.
of just being open to it. They were leading
Okay.
us. That's what I.
Okay. So she was taking her medicine. Okay. So the dogs hitting on the window suggests that she left out that window and climbed up the fire escape to ultimately climb in the water tanks and drown herself.
Okay, so somehow getting up to that the roof would be it'd be a cool place to be if you're just gonna take some pictures, right?
Right.
But the water tower, like, I don't know how, like, people don't think of climbing on a water tower.
No.
I don't. No, if I was up there, I wouldn't even want to go up there.
So with all of the questions surrounding her death and disappearance and everything, do you feel like she went up there and took her own life, or do you feel like there was some foul play?
Okay, I think I have two theories. One, that some demonic presences were messing with her. She was vulnerable because she had mental illness.
Right.
So I feel that the demonic presence in that building preyed on that.
Okay.
That's one theory. And the other theory is I think someone killed her.
So when I first watched this, and I believe I told you guys in our Facebook chat, like I'd never been so torn on anything to be able to kind of come to my own conclusion, because it makes no sense for her to take her life in that manner. If you're going to
When
take
you're
your
gonna
life,
kill yourself, do
why
something
just
else, right?
yeah, do something else. You could have jumped off that instead of
Yeah, that's a torture death,
drowning. Or who
really.
wants to die by awful? Yeah, exactly. So that would be like jumping into a fire or something, like that's not a quick and easy way to go. And then,
Well, she's got to tread water in there
right.
until
And
she
that's
gets
the other
tired and then
thing
just
is,
gives up, right?
yeah, and that's the other thing. So we talked about removing your clothes if you're drowning to kind of get yourself back to the surface or whatever, if they're weighing you down. So I could also see if she, thought, I'm, for whatever reason, she was over it and just wanted to end it and then climb in there. But obviously,
Well, they
if
said it was an
that is the
accident.
right, if that's the case, if she did, if maybe if it was an accident, whatever, that's fine. If she chose to do it, if she meant to do it, because that was another thing that they kind of suggested on the documentary was that she was a very depressed girl, and that was kind of where they were like, maybe she wasn't taking her medicine, maybe she was. Um, Obviously, once she was in the tank, one way or the other, she was trying to get out by removing her clothes, or that was be what it suggests to me anyway.
And
But
was
I
that movie
could,
Girl in the Water or something like that? Girl in the
right,
Water?
exactly, that it was like really eerily similar to everything, how that movie had played out. Um, but that whole side of it just stinks to high heavens to me. Like I feel like there's foul play in there.
Yeah, to set
But
that up.
right,
And then the the TB outbreak because of the water in LA. Um,
right,
the it's called a Lamb ELISA test,
right.
and that's crazy. That her name is Elisa Lamb, and it's a
Yeah,
Lamb ELISA test. That's crazy.
right. Very. But at the same time, as discussed in that in the documentary, is how hard that would be to carry another body, albeit she was a small girl, but you're carrying another human being on your. It would have to be on your shoulders because the fire escape to get on the roof, that last bit was straight up and down, and then the water tower
Well,
ladders
you
was
don't have to
straight up and
carry
down.
her up there. You just
If
have to get her to come up there with you.
if yeah, so and that was kind of a talking point on the show was if somebody had killed her inside the hotel and panicked and didn't know what to do with her and took her up there, that's borderline. It would be very tough. I don't want to say impossible, but it would be very hard to carry a human being up those ladders,
But because of that the latch being open and latch being closed, that's where I think something's not being said here.
right.
That.
There's
I,
something missing.
yeah, I don't feel that the window is the total answer there because
No. No, not at all. So um yeah, I'm still very torn on it. If it was an accident, what in the world is she doing climbing up on top of water towers, on top of a hotel on Skid Row in Los Angeles? you know, if like you said, if you want to climb up there and take pictures, that's one thing, but why would
okay,
you
so the ghost story says that there's a people have seen this baby outside their window,
Mhm.
and a lot of people they say have gone to grab the baby and fallen out and died.
Right.
And so, could it be that she
She was
followed this
led.
baby up to the water tower?
Right, or another entity like you kind
Yeah,
of touched on the demonic thing, maybe
yeah.
something led her. Um and that's an interesting point too, because, like you said, those somebody with mental illness are vulnerable to those type of things. Children and people with mental issues are very vulnerable to those type of attacks.
And if you've ever been to a mental facility or a psych ward of any kind, um, you'll find that they're very spiritual.
Right,
You'll see Jesus and Satan, and they'll be writing all sorts of things out like that. And they're very connected spiritually to something.
right. So that's an interesting, and I remember kind of thinking, I don't know if you caught it, but there are a couple of times on the elevator footage where like you can almost kind of see like a shadow or something where it's like, wait a minute, was that something?
Outside the elevator?
I feel I'd have to go back and watch. I feel like at the very beginning of when she's on the elevator, it looks as almost like there's something inside the elevator with her, and then later on, it looks like something is outside the elevator.
So if you guys are watching, go to YouTube and look up Elisa Lam elevator and see if you can find this, or watch the documentary and see if you can find this.
Right. It's there were a couple of times where I had even like hit my wife like, hey, not like hit her, but like kind of shook her, like, did you
She had
see
it
that?
coming.
Did you see that? But it's such an interesting story, one way or the other. However, you fall on the fence of what you think happened. It's such an incredible story where I can see both or all three sides of it, whether it would be something spiritual or demonic, one way or the other there, or foul play or an accident. But there's so much suicide there. But yeah, it kind
16
of
people.
did.
16
Right.
people killed themselves there.
Right. Not including the murders. That is just suicides. And so that's I don't know, and it's such a dark place. Like you said earlier, it's shocking to me too that the place is still standing.
Yeah, someone should just sell this place, tear down, and I don't know what you'd put up there.
Right, something. Put a church up there or something. Try to get some good juju going
Yeah.
on over there, but or a homeless shelter, something. But it's in a very bad spot of the town. The entire history of it is very checkered, to say the least. And yeah, anything else that we want to touch on here?
It's also interesting that the decor is very beautiful when you come in.
Mm-hmm.
It's another way
Very inviting.
very, yeah, it's like that Venus flytrap thing again.
Yeah, like you're in a safe place here, and then you
Yeah,
get into the rooms, and it's
nice.
like,
And
oh
then
my gosh.
as soon as you go somewhere, then it's revealed, no, this is not what you thought it was.
Yeah, this is not nice. And I feel like that couple that had the brown water and everything that they were talking about were kind of mentioning the same thing. Like when we first got to this hotel, the lobby and everything looked so nice, and then we got to our room and it's like, oh shit, I don't like this at
An
all.
American Horror Story did that really well. Like
Very
really
yeah.
to portray that.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we can kind of wrap it up there unless we got anything else that we want to talk about.
No, it's it's good talk, and we just hope that no one else dies there, and it's a definitely interesting place in this world.
So I don't know if we want to talk about this on another episode or not, but speaking of these type of shows, documentaries, have you heard of the Chris Chambers story that's on Amazon Prime right now? It's called Dybbuk Box.
Dybbuk?
Dybbuk.
Dybbuk Box.
Yeah.
And
Have
so
you seen
what's
this?
I haven't. So what's this about?
So obviously you know what a Dybbuk box is, correct?
Is that
Or have
some
heard
sort
of it?
of
So it doesn't necessarily have to be a box, but any sort of
it reads things, right?
no, it is a sort of a vessel to trap demonic spirits, and it gets sealed up, and they're
Like
not supposed.
Ghostbusters.
Kind of, yeah. But so there was a challenge going around a couple years ago on YouTube, a very stupid one, where people were buying Dybbuk boxes and opening them on YouTube and catching whatever activity in their home. So
that's fucked up.
yeah, so I'm torn because this thing is set up and it reads as if it is a true story, but I can't find anything on the guy. But so I was on the same topic. There's a show. God, what's the name's escaping me now? Paranormal caught on tape or camera or something like that, where a guy did the exact same thing, where he opened one on his YouTube channel live, and he had his EMF detector, and it's going crazy around the box, and he's doing all these different tests and everything. And then he leaves it next to the box as he's opening it. The thing's going crazy, beeping the entire time. And then the minute that he opens the box, it stops beeping. And these things, like the pictures and decor on his wall, start shaking
Wow.
and fall off. So this thing, this Dybbuk box, it's called Dybbuk box, the Chris Chambers story, but it's on Amazon. Very well done. If it's fake, they did an amazing job.
Well, I'm going to watch that, and maybe we can talk a bit about that and something else.
Right. So the thing about it is, like, nothing that happens in there is like over the top. A lot of it is like what I dealt with in the house that I grew up in. So it's like I can believe that this is true because it's not your, big staged normal type of thing. But yeah, he opens this box,
But you
and
couldn't find anything on Google on it.
I couldn't find anything on him, but it does say at the end of it that the footage was taken down because it almost killed him. And you see it throughout the show, um, how he starts to kind of deteriorate
So don't
mentally and
watch it at
physically.
nighttime, you're saying.
I did, and I probably wouldn't. So it's very, I'm
Here's
sure.
something that I want to talk to you about.
Sure.
Okay, so I've been watching this show called, I think, Paranormal 911 or something like that.
Okay.
And it's about police officers getting called to investigate paranormal experiences.
What is this on?
In Canada, it's on Crave. So I don't know what it is in America.
I'll have to check that out. That's an interesting
I'll
concept.
So anyways, so there's this ancient burial that's underneath this house, and he goes into the basement, and there's the drums of the natives, and they're boom, 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 like doing all
Right.
the native sounds. And he turns on the light of the basement, and they're silent. So there's something about the dark where they're allowed to play in the dark. I don't know. There's something about the dark. Because you never get it in the day. No hauntings during the day.
So yeah, yeah, that's a fair point. I'd be curious to see your thoughts on it if you watch it. Let me know. Maybe we can talk about that next week. But like I said, if it was fake, they did a great job with it. But you see him open it, and it kind of does the same thing. He's doing all these different tests and everything, and then this activity around him, like, it won't let him sleep. He's talking on there that every time he tries to close his eyes and he starts drifting off, he feels somebody like poking him all night long that won't let him sleep. So
yeah, that's a constant with demonic sort of activity.
Right.
To annoy the fuck out of you.
Yeah, so he was doing a spirit box session, and he's like, are you the one that won't let me sleep? And that at this stretch of it, that the only response that he gets through the course of some of these questions at that time anyway is a response to that, where it came across and said, "We don't sleep."
Oh.
So, and then it kind of starts going off from there. But yeah, check that out, and that would be an interesting topic for another show. But
yeah, so I'll watch that. And but this has been a good show. The Cecil Hotel. If you haven't seen it, watch it, and let us know your thoughts and your comments. And thanks for watching Wrestling with the Paranormal.
Absolutely. We will be back next Saturday. Hopefully on time without any computer issues. All right, we'll see.
Late, so it's
right.
It's a regular thing.
Yeah, see you, everybody.